Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Finally, the Vampiro Legends of Lucha Libre. What is this one? The deluxe ones. Does it not say on here what it is? Because they've got ones that are fully articulated, like WWE Elites, and then they've got other ones that have less articulation, but not much less, that are also great. I'm not seeing on the packaging what these are called. But anyway, this is the nicer version. I already reviewed the regular Vampiro that is from much, much earlier in his career. Actually, I'm watching I paused a documentary about Vampiro that's on YouTube that's really good, but they do a lot of interviews with Spanish language speakers, and there are no subtitles, which I don't fault the documentary for that. I fault me for not knowing Spanish, because quite frankly, living in Georgia my entire life, I should have picked it up by now. But anyway, the documentary is really good, and the other look on the more basic figure is shown a lot in the documentary's footage. So that figure was really good. It's a great figure, but this one is from later in his career, Wrestling Society X, and then there's a little something extra up here we'll take a look at. So let's get this opened up. I'm a huge fan of Boss Fight Studio. Look at, is there no okay, there's the tape. Their products are just such quality products. If you're left over from yesterday's review, I hope you screened when I said quality. But seriously, their stuff is so good. It is, you know, it's funny. There's this line, because mass market retail has a quality that is, it's like McDonald's quality, right? Where you go to McDonald's and you kind of, you know what you're going to get. It's for the most part, they're the same across the board, right? So that's one kind of quality. And then there's a different kind of quality where, oh my gosh, this is just better than the regular stuff, the mass market retail, the Walmart and Target stuff. Higher quality. It's depending on what you're trying to define, depends on how you use the word. Boss Fight has their products are consistent in a way that mass market is, but they are much nicer, if that makes sense. The packaging here, which, by the way, I like the fact that they're using like a thinner cardboard. Like, it's durable, and as durable as it needs to be, but it's not this like over the top super thick. It's just not necessary. So we've got stats: height 6'2", weight 250 pounds, from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. Debut 1985. Finishing move nail in the coffin. So they're just quick stats on Vampiro. I will also be reviewing the Taya Valkyrie figure and potentially the Tenebris Jr. That one's a maybe. But just cool art on the package. I love Boss Fight stuff and Legends of Lucha Libre. Everything that I've picked up, which I also reviewed. I'm trying to remember if I reviewed the basic Taya Valkyrie. I think I did. And I also reviewed Black Taurus. That might be it. I think this is the first of the premium or deluxe or whatever you want to call them figures that I've gotten. So I'm pretty excited about this one, because as much as the people who watch this channel don't love wrestling figures, I do. And Vampiro, now I am not a like learned fan of Vampiro. I literally mostly know him from WCW, and then Lucha Underground. I did watch some of Wrestling Society X, but like I don't know really his pre-WCW history all that well, aside from knowing he was this just magnificent hunky heartthrob in Mexico. But when he showed up in WCW, I was instantly a fan. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest wrestler I have ever seen in my life. Look at this guy with the skull paint and the tattoos, and he kind of acts weird and is just different from anybody else on this show. So I was immediately a fan of Vampiro. Oh, we gotta size him up. Oh man, I knocked my measuring tape on the floor earlier during another review. Okay, so he comes in at about 7¼ inches tall, which means that Boss Fight, whose early figures were a bit small, have adjusted things to make them scale, to make these figures scale with WWE Elites, which they really should have been doing from the beginning. But I get thinking doing your own thing is a good idea, but in this day and age, you got to scale it with what everybody has. You know what I mean? So you can see this is a Mattel Dean Malenko, one of my favorite wrestlers. And I'm not going to claim that Vampiro's even, like, I think he's one of the coolest wrestlers ever, but I can't, like, he's not in my sacred top guys list, but I do think he's one of the most awesome wrestlers ever. Like, I made a create a wrestler Vampiro in every wrestling game I ever played and did my best with his tattoos because, you know, you used to not be able to scan stuff in. So anyway, you can see compared to Dean Malenko, he's the right size. Man, that portrait is great. I love, so I know opinions are kind of varied about the digital inkjet printing, but I love what face paint looks like with it. I think it creates a really cool look. Hair looks great. He's got the dreads. This is, while this is not WCW Vampiro, for my purposes, it passes. Interesting, the elbow pads, the way that they're made, they're super snug. I want to get this down here and see what kind of elbow joint we're dealing with. Okay, so that is a double joint. My gosh, look at that. Paint all up in there. That is a double jointed elbow. There we go. And that did not just scratch. I'm going to guess that this is also some form of like digital inkjet printing, because if you look, there's no gap. Let me get that elbow pad out of the way. There's no gap. Look at even your best Mattel figures, like CM Punk or Malachi Black or whatever, which, by the way, thrilled to see him back in WWE. But there's a gap in the printing, in the tampo. But there are no gaps here, so I'm wondering how they did that. I really want to get somebody from Boss Fight on the show, on one of the podcasts, because they have got some manufacturing methods that I'm just not seeing from other people, and I'm wondering, I want to learn about the magic. So that little wristband there is a removable piece, because for the most part, the figures that Boss Fight does are sort of modular. They're really good about sort of creating base pieces with overlays that, you know, kind of define the characters they're making. So the way they've done these elbow pads is they kind of crunch up into the elbow, so you're not losing articulation. I mean, this is essentially how an elbow pad works on an actual wrestler. Very interesting. So we've got, we do have butterfly joints in there. Okay, so let's get this vest off so we can take a look at the figure. But just cool, like leather looking vest, really nicely detailed. Oh, and by the way, this and the Taya Valkyrie I'll be reviewing probably next week came from Entertainment Earth. Oh, okay. I don't love that necessarily. They have the McFarlane, well, but it seems to stay in place a little better. Huh? No, it's not quite the McFarlane thing. So McFarlane has this like cup that allows their shoulder joints to be the sort of butterfly style joint. This isn't that exactly. Just interesting the way that works. Huh. You've got nice ratcheting joints. And honestly, this, oh, look at that. Huge range of motion in those shoulders. And it's bizarre that these separate pieces are not more disruptive than they are. But they really work pretty well, even with those. Like, if you didn't have all these tattoos, it really wouldn't be as noticeable. But it's really not that noticeable. Look at that. It's not that noticeable even with the tattoos. So the construction is very similar to Jazzware's AEW figures. I'm trying to loosen up that waist joint a little bit so it'll sit properly. You know, that's one of the things about figures with more articulation is sometimes you just got to put time into aligning things properly. So you can see, I mean, tattoos are just awesome. But I want to know how they're printed because I don't believe it's the standard tampo process. His tights, pretty simple, but look great. And these are, rather than being just painted on, these are sculpted, these studs on the sides here. Double jointed knees. And this is what I'm talking about when I say boss fight stuff has mass market quality. Everything moves the way it's supposed to and is nice and tight, but it just all looks better. Look at the gloss on those boots. He's got the kick pads sculpted, nice glossy boots. I mean, this is the people who designed this figure really cared about everything looking good. So he comes with C-grips on the hands. Oh, look at this. He's even got, one hand has kind of a different wrapping than the just wristband of the other hand. So this is great. So C-grips default in the package. Also comes with fists for punching. We've got an alternate portrait that is, it might not be a juggalo, but it's certainly juggle-ish. And this is absolutely these thumbs down hands are going on him. And then finally, he comes with the Wrestling Society X Championship, and it is beautiful. This is what... Now, I still don't love this system, but the way they've done the plates, this is what I want belts to look like. Because as I've mentioned in other reviews, that super glossy, like vac metal look is not right. This looks right. This looks like the metal of plates on a championship. Sculpted detail is fantastic. I expect these to work a little bit better. Yeah, they do. These work a little bit better. I don't know if I'll display... Well, that championship looks so good. I don't want to not display it. But we are popping this Juggalo head on. I don't know that I'll leave it on, but I think for the thumbnail, just because it'll be fun to have like an ICP related look in the thumbnail. I think that's what I'm going with. Let's get that vest back on, although I might not even put the vest on in the thumbnail. I'm not sure. Now I think I have to use the other head because I want it to be, I don't know how much thumbnails even matter. I know you're supposed to put a stupid buffoon face in your thumbnail, which I won't do. But I mean, I don't know how much the visible appearance of a thumbnail even really matters. But he needs to be recognizable as Vampiro. So that's probably going to the thumbnail. You'll already know by the time you're watching this, probably. I'll put that belt on him just because this is a great figure. Boss fight, just absolute top-notch quality. From their design to their execution to the quality control to everything, Boss Fight is just putting out some of the best toys on the market right now. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things, and until next time, buy what you like.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.